Let's get AJ on my screen. Look at that smiling face. Dimples! How you doing, AJ?
Good. I was playing video games last night, Roddy. Football Manager.
Yeah, I was hosting a TV show here last night. So, hey, it is what it is. AJ, let's jump right into it. Well, for one, the BC Lions in Edmonton tonight. What's your take on the game, and what do you think about this new owner that kind of came out of nowhere, Amar Doman?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about him other than just what I've read, but I think it's good news for the BC Lions, right? I think given the uncertainty of the last couple of years with COVID and then the XFL talks, you kind of wondered. And just, the rumors that, okay, is Toronto in? Is MLSE in? Is Montreal truly in terms of what they're doing with the Canadian Football League? So to see, one of the three markets go out and get what looks like quality ownership, that can only be good for the league. As for the game tonight, the Elks haven't looked very good so far. And I'm curious to see just how Trevor Harris is going to respond, given the criticism. I mean, we saw what Almondo Sewell had to say about him folding when he gets hit. And then Derek Dennis. I mean, I thought what Derek Dennis had to say on Twitter was scathing. And we just haven't seen anyone really step up for Trevor Harris, which is unfortunate. I like Trevor a lot from his time here in Ottawa. I thought he grew a lot from 2016 to 2018. But when guys are taking shots at you like that and you're not getting the necessary backup from teammates, that has to be a little bit concerning from an Elk standpoint. So curious to see if they're going to bounce back, because right now they're out of the gate at 0-2. And, with 2 home losses to Eastern teams, not a great start for Edmonton.
BC picked by 9.5, Darren said, believe it or not. So speaking of point spreads, I was on your program yesterday, and I really appreciated that. TSN 1200 Ottawa. I didn't know the betting line, the spread for Saturday's Saskatchewan-Ottawa game was 10.5 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Can I ask you where you get your lines, AJ? Because I always use the Score app. Always. It's my go-to. And they don't have the betting line. So where are you getting yours? Where are you getting yours?
I just saw it come in. I don't even know what site it was at. I just saw an email that basically had the 4 lines of the games, and the first one was 10.5. So I don't know if it's the Score or if that's still 10.5 or if it's less or more, but that's what I saw yesterday.
Saskatchewan favored by 10.5 over the Ottawa REDBLACKS. I can't. Darren's nodding his head. Where'd you find it?
I've got that too. I'm looking at OddsShark now. The opening line on OddsShark for the game tonight was 9 for BC. It looks like Bodog's got him at 3.5. That's a big discrepancy, right?
Well, let's go there, because AJ loves this talk. Hard to pick CFL games point spreads right now. Wouldn't you agree, even into week 3?
Yeah, I think it's good. The unpredictability, we'd like to see a little bit more offense. And, like I know you were talking about this yesterday with us, Roddy. I love defensive football too. That's my favorite kind of group from Ottawa REDBLACKS history is from 2015. That team won 12 games. They didn't end up winning the Grey Cup. They won the East Final in dramatic fashion when Henry Burris threw that miracle pass to Greg Ellingson on 2nd and 25 against Hamilton. But when I think of that team, I can think of all the great players on offense on that team, but I love that defense. So I love defensive football. But we could use a few more points. And I think more than anything, we could use a few more sustained drives. I think that's what I've seen so far is just a dramatic amount of 2-and-outs and teams just not moving the football. So the game seems to be lacking a little bit of flow early on. But I'm also with you, though, in terms of mistake football. I don't think we've seen sloppy, full of mistake football. I think, the tackling has been... I heard some people say, well, maybe the tackling's going to be off. I think it's been pretty good through 8 games so far. And I don't think there's been as many penalties in most games, although Saskatchewan certainly took quite a few last week in their win over Hamilton. But all in all, probably could use some preseason football, even though I don't love it, for a week or two just to get everyone going. But, I think it's only going to get better as the weeks progress.
Well, I got to ask you this. I mean, Paul LaPolice is family to me, and I would think that they're underdogs 10.5 for this game. They're the 9th-ranked team in a 9-team league by the CFL's own power rankings. Like, listen, I would love that. Please count me out every single day. I love that, and I think Lapo does too. I got to think this is playing right into their hands coming in here on Saturday.
Well, they're going to have to sustain some drives, though, right? I mean, that's the reality. Look, they are kind of who I thought they were going to be at the start of the year. Like, I thought they were going to be the best team in the league on special teams. Bob Dice is back. You've got, the trio of LP Barassa, Richie Leone, and Lewis Ward back, and they didn't skip a beat. You've got, one of the best covered teams in the league, and I think you've got some real dangerous return guys in Devontae Dedmon and Ryan Davis, and we saw that with the play that was called back, that Music City Miracle type play that almost worked against Edmonton. So they're real good on special teams. I think they're going to be excellent on defense. Avery Williams is the best player that no one seems to know about in the Canadian Football League. He had 14 tackles in the first game of the year, and paired with Micah Hawway. I know Mike Benavides, he's not going to compare them to, say, Solomon Elimimian and Adam Bighill, but, maybe the best duo of linebackers he's had since then. It's just about offensive. What are they going to do on the offensive side of the ball? It's a work in progress right now. Matt Nichols' arm has been sore and tired, and so he hasn't really been able to stretch the field. You've got new receivers. Brad Sinopoli and Alex Mateus are all-star Canadians that retired right before the season. Can't really replace them with a snap of the fingers, but we'll see if they can get better. I think the encouraging thing for me about this offense is, the offense was real bad in 2019. But I think this offense will be better just because that team didn't have an offensive coordinator. It was offensive coordinator by committee when Jamie Elizondo left the team late before training camp. This team has one of the best in the business in Paul LaPolice. That team didn't have a quarterback coach. This team's got Steve Walsh. The O-line coach is Bob Wiley, who's a veteran on both sides of the border, and he'll be able to coach this group up, I think. So it didn't look pretty in game one on the offensive side of the ball, but I do think over time they should get better week over week just because of the coaching staff.
Please say hey to Coach Walsh and Wiley for me. Couple of good guys right there. Couple comments from our viewers here. From William and Lloydminster: if Saskatchewan's on their game, Ottawa will not have a chance. From Chris Bird in Southern Ontario: in my opinion, the biggest problem in Ottawa is the lack of offense. Defense looks great. From Jenna, watching in Southern California, says, yes, love defense. Jenna, Southern California's biggest Buffalo Sabres fan. And in the time we have left, AJ, I've got the Ottawa Senators picked 5th in the Atlantic Division of the National Hockey League for this upcoming season. I got them 6th. Got Toronto 4, Montreal 5, Ottawa 6. What do you see happening with the Ottawa Senators in this upcoming NHL season?
Yeah, I feel like if they were in the West, they could push for a playoff spot. I think the East is way more difficult to make the playoffs than the West. I'm curious to see, if Ottawa's going to make it, they're going to have to, take a big step. But at the same time, I think one of those teams like a Pittsburgh, a Washington, a Boston that's been hanging around, right? Typically, we saw it with San Jose. San Jose went from being a perennial playoff team, conference finals, and the next year they were just terrible. Chicago, Detroit, it happens in a hurry when you're one of those teams that's a contender. It's going to happen in a hurry with one of those 3 teams, but until it happens, who knows? I don't know if it's going to happen now or in 5 years. Look at Detroit. We kind of counted them out year after year after year, and they kept making the playoffs, and all of a sudden, finally, they went off the cliff. So when I look at the division and the conference, I think Tampa Bay, Florida, Toronto are playoff teams. I think Boston should be, but if all of a sudden you lose Marchand or Bergeron or they drop off, then I think it could be tough sledding for them. I think Montreal takes a real step back. I'm going to call Ottawa 5th in the division because I think Montreal, kind of like Dallas last year, when you go deep into the playoffs and you're a bit of an underdog, I think it takes a lot out of you. And we've already seen with Shea Weber and Carey Price health-wise, amongst others. I'm not sure they're going to be at full capacity when the season starts. So I do think they take a big step this year. They got a good young group, and I think, I'm not really 100% sure they're done. They might go after a center like a Thomas Hurdle or a Sean Monahan or a Ryan Strome, someone like that to add to the group. But even still, I feel like it'll be a successful season if they play, if they're in the 85 to 90 point range, and as long as they're playing meaningful games into the last month, to me, that'll be a good step for the team.
Yeah, I think they exceeded some expectations last year, came on strong near the end. They're certainly going the right way. AJ, always love chatting with you. See you Saturday, my friend.
You bet. Can't wait. Love coming to the Big R. So excited for what should be a great game on Saturday.
You bet, buddy. Thank you. Safe travels. The great AJ Jakubec, voice of the Ottawa REDBLACKS, Ottawa 67s, Ottawa Atletico. What else I say?
Everything.
Everything. He's Mr. Ottawa. More than Trudeau. Woo!
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.